She is the fellow and member of many prestigious international professional societies, to be precise, like Royal Society of Chemistry, London, International Green Chemistry Network, USA, American Chemical Society, and International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, USA. Besides this, she has been conferred with large number of various distinguished awards and recognitions at international and national levels. As the list is quite long, just mentioning a few like International Gold Star Award, Distinguished Woman Scientist Award, Science Legend Award, Chemistry Teacher Award, Nari Shakti Samman, and Top Researcher Award. Her research eternity began with the pioneering work on green chemistry from early 90s and now blending with the field of nanotechnology, especially focusing sustainable development in chemistry beneficial for society. She has supervised the PhD of more than 50 students and published over 200 research articles in international reputed journals with high impact factors. Moreover, she has held various distinguished positions eminent chemical societies of India. She is former president, Indian Chemical Society, ICS, convener, most prestigious Chemical Research Society of India, CRSI, Rajasthan, chapter, council member, CRSI and ICS. Although she has been superannuated in 2017, but still she is actively involved in research work and in delivering chemistry popularization talks and motivational lecture to inspire and motivate Kishore Vigyanik and inspire school and graduate students. We are highly privileged to witness the presence of such a great personality, ma'am. Now I invite ma'am to start this on topic green chemistry techniques in lab practices for remedying the environment. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Neelam, for giving nice words of introduction. And I'm also thankful to Dr. Anu Sharma for giving me this opportunity in a very short time. She has just contacted me yesterday. And actually, I want to support the academic and research activities, so I agreed. And I would like to share some of my research experience on the topic green chemistry, which we are doing in the laboratory.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation in very span of time. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
It's not sharing?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Neelam, ma'am, I can see ma'am's screen. I can see
Yes, yes. Now it is visible, ma'am.
Is it visible there? Can you see that?
Now it is. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can I start now?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. Just checking.
Yes, ma'am.
Going on? It's sharing well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm very much thankful to the organizers of this event. And actually, the green chemistry, which is, I think it is one but before last lecture on the green chemistry applications. So I think by this time, almost all the audience is familiar with the word green chemistry. Now today I would like to focus the green chemistry, in addition to industries, we can also perform the green chemistry in the lab practices to train our students how can they follow this green chemistry in their research, in their MSc, practicals, etc. So actually, as we know that organic chemistry is one of the most important branch of the chemistry, because whatever we use in our daily life, which has improved our quality and the quantity of the life, depends upon number of the molecules. Mostly they are based on the organic molecules. Actually, whatever we use are obtained either from the natural sources or they have to synthesize in the laboratory. And these molecules have been used as variety for variety of the purposes, although I have selected only few here. And whatever obtained from the natural sources is not sufficient in the quantity. So they are produced on the industrial basis. And industry, which are used to produce the value-added materials, they require huge amount of hazardous chemicals, volatile solvents, corrosive mineral acids, and then initially the laboratory scale reaction is developed, then a small scale, and then optimization, and the process is developed for the industrialization. So this industrialization process using this huge amount of chemicals, solvents, and the acids, they produce the pollution of water, soil, and they cause environmental damage. And the byproducts are formed along with the chemical waste, solvent emission, and the textile efficient. So it is necessary to overcome these limitations. We require alternative methods using nano-sized catalysts for better product selectivity, less byproduct formation using the applying the alternative energy, etc. Actually, we can see that the chemistry has improved our quality and the quantity of the life. But this huge amount of the industrialization, we have to pay huge cost for this industrialization, and it has affected our the civilization. And you can see, you are familiar, all of you are familiar with large number of disasters and the accidents happened in these chemical industries, like the Bhopal gas tragedy, Tellulose in the France, Servoso in the Italy, and so many things. And this huge amount of industrialization has caused the problem in the environment, causing the acid rain problem, global warming, greenhouse effect, ozone depletion. Yesterday was the ozone day, and everybody in the world is worried about the ozone layer depletion, and there are so many suggestions were made. And another problem is smoke. So to solve all these environmental problems, the green chemistry term was coined, and the Ronald Breslow first of all coined this term green chemistry. He said that why there is no green geology or green astronomy, only the green adjective is used before the chemistry. Why it is so? Actually, it is the responsibility of we chemists, because the chemistry is the science that introduces new substances into the world, and we have the responsibility for their impact in the world. So because we have generated the problem, then we have to find the solution, because it is our responsibility. Now, green chemistry, why it is needed, and what are the various means, how can we achieve the goal of the green chemistry? It is due to the waste minimization, it is due to the using the non-toxic reagents, using non-renewable resources. So to solve these problems, the various goals of the green chemistry were used. As in today's topic, we have seen the green chemistry, role of the green chemistry in the development of sustainable chemistry. Now, I think all of you are familiar with the sustainability means meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the need of future generations. And the green chemistry is technologies of the invention, design, and application of chemical products and processes to reduce or to eliminate the use and generation of hazardous substance. So whenever it is possible, use of renewable raw materials. So it means that the primary pollution prevention, not the remediation. The green chemistry deals with the prevention, not the remediation, as in case of environmental chemistry. So 12 principles of the green chemistry was given in the 1992 by the Paul Anastas and John Warner. They are called as father of green chemistry. And these 12 principles, we should try to accommodate these principles during our various activity, although it is difficult to achieve all the 100% goal, but we should try to get the maximum benefit. So first principle is prevention of the waste. So it is necessary to design the chemical process in such a way to reduce the waste by reusing the reactant product, recycling, their rethinking, because it is better to prevent the waste than to treat or clean up waste after it is formed. Then second principle is it is necessary to design the safer chemicals and the products. The products and the chemicals should have lower toxicity. Then design less hazardous chemical synthesis because whenever we use the hazardous reactants or the products, then additional costs will be increased for the use of these things. Then use of renewable feedstocks, because everybody knows that most of the chemistry deals with the fossil fuel based non-renewable feedstocks, but they will deplete after some time. So we should use either the renewable plant-based feedstocks. So there is much more focus on the use of hydrogen as energy sources or use of solar energy, more focus on these renewable energy sources. Then use of the catalyst, because when we carry out any reaction, you must have studied that 1 mole of the reactant require 15 or 20 mole of the another reactant or the another means solvent, etc. So this, by use of catalyst, the stoichiometric reagent will not be required and it will increase the selectivity. Then again, when in any reaction, if any reactant is having more than one type of functional group, then we have to carry out the blocking or the protection and deprotection of these functional groups. So by these chemical derivation should be avoided because it requires additional steps and the reagents. Then maximize atom economy, because when we do the reaction, we are more focused on the percentage yield, but we are not focused on the yield of the byproduct or undesired product which are formed due to the incomplete reaction or etc. In that case, all atoms are not involved in the reaction. So even though the yield of the product is very high, but the atom economy is less, because for example, in this type of addition reaction, all atoms are used in the final product. So this reaction is with 100% atom economy. While in case of substitution reactions, in addition to a required product, this ethanol is formed as a byproduct and atoms are lost in this formation of ethanol. So percentage yield may be 100%, but atom efficiency will be lesser. So we have to design the chemical process in such a way to achieve the maximum atom efficiency. Then use of safer solvent and reaction conditions to minimize the risk of severe accidents and injuries. That is another important aspect of the green chemistry principle. Then whenever we do the reaction, normally either reactions are carried out at very high temperature or very low temperature like -60, -70 or 300 degree, 400 degree, etc. So these conditions require additional energy consumption, additional apparatus, etc. So we should try to find out the reactions which are operable at ambient conditions whenever possible. So those will be more energy efficient. Then designing of the chemicals and the products to degrade after use. That is, whatever product we are using, that must be break down into biocompatible products. For example, the DDT was very effective insecticide and that was widely used for that purpose. but later on it is banned because it is not biodegradable. So it enters into the ecosystem and in the aquatic plants and the animals, etc. So that enters finally into the human system, and it is banned because of this reason, because it is not biodegradable. Another example is use of the freons, etc. Then, for prevention of the pollution, our analytical system should be such a strong that we can recognize the problems before they turn into the tragedies. Then, further, for the release, explosion, and the fire check operability and the seizing of the safety equipment is necessary to follow the principles of green chemistry. So the dream of the green chemistry, it involves the development of ideal chemical synthesis. And what is ideal chemical synthesis? Means it should be with the minimum number of steps. It should be simple, without waste generation, eco-friendly. It must be safe for the operators. It must be started with the cheap materials, with the 100% yield and atom efficient. So the green chemistry work, actually it was started in the 1992 when Paul Anastas and John Warner coined this term green chemistry, who are called as father of the green chemistry. But in the public, this green chemistry work received the attention after this got Nobel Prize in 2005. Franz Chauvin, Robert Grubbs, and Richard Schrock, they won the award for their development of metathesis method in organic synthesis. And this team, this Nobel Prize giving team has mentioned that this represents a great step forward for green chemistry, reducing potentially hazardous waste through smarter production. Now, question arises, what is metathesis? I will tell you just now. The metathesis is an example of how important basic science has been applied for the benefit of man, society, and the environment. Metathesis, in the simple way, we can explain this metathesis in which the interchange of the group takes place between the two alkenes. Means in metathesis reaction, double bonds are broken and made between carbon atoms in a way that cause atom groups to change the places. This happens with the assistance of special catalytic molecules. So these three scientists, they combinedly received this Nobel Prize for the development of novel catalytic methods or novel methodology conditions. And the metathesis can be compared to a dance in which couple change partners. So the rearrangement of the olefins by the catalyst is called as metathesis process. So what we do in the lab? We are pioneer worker in the field of green chemistry in the country. We have started the work on the green chemistry in 1992, just after this word was coined. And this is a simple glance in a bird eye view what we do in the laboratory, or what everybody can do, every chemist can do, because they don't require any special equipments or the special conditions. We have published a large number of the articles, review articles, book chapter, paper publications on this. In case of this, we have also edited the books on the green chemistry, and number of chapters have been contributed. We are working on the medicinal chemistry using the green technology for the development of anti-cancer, antimicrobial, antioxidant agents, then multi-component reaction, which is state of the art, then sustainable construction of various carbon, nitrogen, carbon, oxygen bonds for the synthesis of value-added materials, catalytic CH activation, then selectivity-based approach, which is very important in case of organic chemistry or the synthetic chemistry, because the synthetic chemists know that the regiochemo or diastereo selectivity attainment is very difficult. Then we are also working on the fluorine-containing building blocks. Then we are also using the inorganic compounds and materials for catalytic innovation. Our compounds, because whatever we do in the laboratory, whatever compound, whatever molecule we are synthesizing, we must have some aim, because these molecules must have some utility. Otherwise, we are wasting the chemical and the time. Although the research is of two types, the academic research and the applied research. In the academic research, we can develop these various methodology process, but in the applied research, we see the use of these molecules for various purpose, and our molecules have shown very interesting bioactivity and interesting use. Then we are working in the nanotechnology also, and we have used the optimized synthetic methodology for metallic and carbon-based nanomaterials. They are used in the pharmaceutically important heterocyclic synthesis, and they're used in the photocatalytic conditions. The major focus in our research, which can be carried out in the undergraduate laboratory also, that is on the multi-component reactions. These are shortly called as MCR reactions, also called as tandem reaction. So what happened whenever we do some reaction, we convert the one reactant into the product, then again this acts as a reactant into the product, like conversion of 1 into 2 into then 3 into 4 into 5, 6. Like insulin has more than 150 steps. But in the green chemistry process, we try to do the multi-component synthetic approaches in which all the reactants are mixed together in a same reaction pot, and then reaction occurs in the step, but we don't have to identify the intermediate. And this multi-component approach is the convergent type of approach. That is, all the reactants mixed together in one pot, they react together selectively to produce the product in the one step. So as compared to the conventional divergent approach, this MCR approach is convergent approach. It is used for the generation of the complex molecular architecture that will show you by some of the examples in which multi-bond formation occur in the one pot operation. It is rapid and efficient for library generation, because for the application part, especially for the drug discovery process, always the library generation is very important. Then diversity oriented library generation can be achieved here. It eliminates the need for the purification steps, so it is easier to work with the sensitive or unstable intermediates. Now in laboratory, we are using either the alternative energy resources, ultrasound as source of energy, microwaves as source of energy, infrared and UV visible light, or 4 type of these energy sources, and their equipments are available in the laboratory. If anybody is interested to see the experiment, they can come there and see this use of these alternative energy sources. Then to achieve the goal of green chemistry, we are using the alternative reaction conditions, avoiding the use of volatile organic solvents to carry out the solvent-free synthesis, neat reaction, etc. Then alternative reaction media. There is a focus on the ionic liquids, supercritical carbon dioxide, fluorous solvents, polyethylene glycol, etc. But today, if time permits, I would like to focus especially on the water. Recently, we have also published a paper on the ethyl lactate in the molecular liquids having the this impact factor 6, high impact factor. And using the water, we have published the paper in the green chemistry. Now its impact factor has become 10. That is the highest impact factor in the field of green chemistry. Then alternative catalysts, we have used wide variety of catalysts. Today I will focus on the use of sodium chloride because it is very simple and anybody can follow this reaction. Then in case of nanotechnology, we have synthesized the wide variety of nanomaterials of copper, zinc, cadmium, titanium, aluminium, silver, manganese, copper, etc. Then doped nanomaterials, then magnetically derived nanomaterials, then nanocomposites and graphene-based oxides of various nanomaterials. And then using these nanomaterials, we have synthesized, characterized them and see the application in various synthetic transformation in organic synthesis, synthesis of superbug active compounds, and also for the synthesis of photocatalyst reactions. So these are some of the examples of recent publications which we could achieve by using the goal of the green chemistry. And our paper has been received the award of best paper and most cited paper by the Elsevier, most viewed and downloaded articles, and some papers have been published in the green chemistry. Now the impact factor has become 10. So we have synthesized all the wide variety of the derivatives, but today I would like to focus on the heterocyclic synthesis and organic transformation, and then screening of these compounds for various purposes, either biological screening or the purpose of OLED or corrosion inhibitors. And I would like to today focus on the aqueous media. I think all of you are familiar with the heterocyclic compound. What are heterocyclic compounds? Heterocyclic compounds are those cyclic compounds in which carbon atoms are present in the form of ring. And in addition to carbon, one heteroatom like the nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, etc., these are present. And presence of these heteroatoms causes the change in the property of the molecule. Just like in the simple term, you can see that any ring, if it is having the ruby, or it is having the emerald or amethyst, like that, they will give the different properties. So these heteroatoms, when these are present, they can be different, and size of the ring can also be different from 3-member ring to very large ring, and we have synthesized variety of the molecules. Now, mostly the organic synthesis is carried out with the volatile organic solvents, which causes the use problems, which may be either the direct or indirect, like the ozone depletion, global warming, etc. So more focus in the use of non-volatile solvent or the less volatile solvent. And in this means encouraged by this fact that we have to find some alternative. So we worked on the aqueous media, which is nature's reaction enforcer for synthesis in water. Now the water, no doubt, it is a green solvent. It is having the special property like low viscosity, high specific heat, high dielectric constant, with the presence of 4 hydrogen bondings in a water molecule. It is no doubt it is one of the best solvent, but for the organic reactions, these cannot be used very easily because of organic molecules are polar in the nature, and these organic molecules are having the poor solubility in the water. So we tried to modify the reaction conditions, and we did this breakthrough experiment, and fortunately this work is published in Green Chemistry. So we have studied the imposed hydrophobic interactions in heterocyclic synthesis for the sustainable combination for organic synthesis. The reactions are carried out in the presence of sodium chloride as reaction enhancer in the water. Now see, this molecule, this is a complicated molecule having the 3 stereogenic center, rather 4 stereogenic center in this molecule. And this complicated molecule, the identification, structure assignment, everything is very difficult for this molecule. And synthesis is naturally, no doubt, very difficult. But as I have told you earlier, that we have used this multi-component reaction approach. These 3 reactants, which are readily available in the market, are used, and we tried the reaction of these 3 molecules in aqueous medium at high temperature, about 80 degrees centigrade. Unfortunately, no reaction occurred. But when we added the sodium chloride, simple common table salt, then to our delight, the reaction occurs and this molecule is formed. Although reaction appears to be very simple, but the structure assignment was not easy. And because this stereoselective reaction occurred in this case, because in this case number of regio and stereoisomers were possible, but reaction occurred selectively and only one product is formed. And we have developed the combinatorial synthesis of more than 50 compounds. This reaction is having the operational simplicity, and gram scale synthesis up to 10 gram has been developed for this. And this result, this is the first report on the 1,3 dipolar cycloaddition reactions in aqueous medium having the high degree of selectivity. So this is the very big achievement in the case of organic synthesis to get this work published in the Green Chemistry. I would like to share some of our experiences, that because we were the first person to report such type of reaction in the aqueous medium. So our paper was not initially, no, our approach was not accepted by the referees, but we were not disappointed, and we try again and again, and our paper went to 16 referees, and finally they agreed with our proposal, and our paper could be published in this very high impact factor journal. So what happened in this case? What is the role of the sodium chloride? Why this reaction, which does not occur in the water, occurs in the sodium chloride? Actually, the reaction between the water and the organic molecule, which are the hydrophobes, is called as hydrophobic interactions. And hydrophobes are non-polar molecules, usually having the long chain of carbon that do not interact with the water molecule. Now, water molecules, because of the hydrogen bonding, they forms this cage-like molecules. This is called as the clathrate-like structure of water molecule, which is formed around the hydrophobic organic reactants like this. You can see. These water cage-like structures are known as cosmotrophs. So because of the formation of cosmotrophs around the organic molecules, this cage-like structure is formed by the water molecules, and because of this, the interaction of the reactants are not possible. And so the reaction does not occur in the aqueous media alone. So by using the advancement of scientific technology to develop the sustainable development in aqueous media synthesis using the inorganic material sodium chloride, we could get success. This was the new idea which was proposed for the first time. And why we chose sodium chloride? Because it is inexpensive, environmentally benign, and the volume of the waste is significantly reduced. It is readily available and can be removed from the reaction mixture by aqueous workup. Now, how does sodium chloride works? When sodium chloride is added to aqueous heterogeneous mixture, the sodium ion and the chloride ion competes with the organic reactants for water molecule because these are ionic species. So because of the strong interaction of these ions with the water molecule, they won the competition from the reactant and they perturb the cosmotrophs which are formed around the organic molecules by water. So this causes a migration of the water molecule from the cosmotrophs to the ions, which in turn breaks the water cage and significantly enhances the hydrophobic interactions. So because of this, the more space is generated for the interaction of these organic species, which are, so the reaction occurs smoothly and lead to the formation of the desired product. So it is very interesting story, and for publication or to establish the reaction conditions, naturally we have to carry out the reaction under different reaction conditions and establish the reaction condition. So we carried out. So it is, we have studied taking the different solvents, using the tap water, etc. Various salting out agents were used, and reaction is studied under various reaction conditions, and it is found out that this dipolar reaction is retarded when we use commonly, because there are a large number of publications using the micellar surfactants or cetyl tetrabutyl ammonium chloride solutions. But in this case, the reaction is retarded rather than accelerated. The reason is, in that case, micelle formation, the purely hydrocarbon diene prefers the interior of the micelles, whereas the more polar dienophile resides on the head group region of the aggregates. So because of this spatial separation of diene and dienophile, this result in the modest retardation of the reaction. And reaction was slowed noticeably when D2O was used in place of water, because sodium chloride is less soluble in the D2O as compared to the water. So these studies, and finally to establish the stereochemistry for the regioselectivity, etc., we have to study the plausible mechanism also. I will not go into the detail of this mechanism because the entire paper is published. If anybody is interested in this mechanism, can go there. But one point which I would like to mention here is, if we do not carry out the reaction in the multi-component approach, then what happens? The initially this ylide which is formed, if dienophile is not there, dipolarophile is not there, this ylide undergo immediately dimerization, and it results in the formation of this cyclic dimer. Although it is all this compound which was formed eventually has shown very interesting properties. In another series, we have synthesized these molecules which have shown the interesting this anti-cancer agents. But we were interested more in these spiro compounds, which can only be achieved if the reaction is carried out in the multi-component manner. Otherwise, instead of getting this product, we will get this product. So you can see the importance of MCR reaction conditions. So by using this approach, we have carried out this regio and stereoselective synthesis of these novel spiroheterocycles, complicated molecules with large number of stereogenic centers. All these molecules have been synthesized. So this reaction proceeds with the high distereoselectivity, formation of number of chiral centers, reaction in endospecific, one procedure with formation of multiple bonds. Diversity oriented synthesis, you can see that wide structural complexities could be achieved, and this reaction proceeds with high atom economy because only the carbon dioxide and water are byproduct which are easily separated from the reaction mixture, and it is metal free synthesis. So this sodium chloride has been used because the referees, they have objected that it is by chance for this particular type of application or other reactions are also possible. They were very much curious to know about this. So we extended our this proposal or this observation for the synthesis of other complicated molecules, and we have explored those reactions which are not explored in the water in the presence of this salt solution, the Ugi reaction, isocyanide insertion reaction, quinazoline formation, etc. we could do, and the papers were published also in large number of reputed journals. So water as a green solvent, we have done a large amount of work on this and published the number of the research papers in this. These are only few examples in which this aqueous mediated synthesis has been published in these journals. Now the utility of these molecules, watch what we have synthesized here. Actually, the class of the broad spectrum antibiotics consists of beta-lactam ring in their molecular structure. Penicillin type of, cephalosporin type of, these molecules have beta-lactam. But these were found later on the resistant, the means bacteria were found the resistant for these beta-lactam antibiotics. So there is a need to develop some new antibiotics. The superbug is a term used to describe strains of bacteria that are resistant to majority of the antibiotics commonly used today. And in India and Pakistan, especially in the New Delhi, this special bacteria was observed for the first time. So it is called as New Delhi bacteria, NDM bacteria, New Delhi metallocene beta-lactamase. It is an enzyme that makes the bacteria resistant to the broad range of known antibiotics. So NDM1 is superbug. This term is used to describe a strain of bacteria that are resistant to majority of the antibiotics. So the NDM1 bacteria can't be defeated by using common antibiotics. And we have developed our new compounds, which we have synthesized recently, have shown the very activity against this NDM1. NDM1 gene causes the bacterium to produce an enzyme that neutralizes the majority of these antibiotics. So who is concerned also for this, especially development of antibiotics for these NDM bacteria, and inspired by this antimicrobial activities of spiroheterocycles, alkaloids, we have synthesized these in vitro compounds and to screen them for in vitro for antimicrobial activity. And this is spirothioperazolidine, which we have synthesized here, they have shown the very good antibacterial agent with the MIC value is very less, and some compounds were found to be more active than the standard antibacterial drug gentamicin and ampicillin. Then we have done the docking studies to study the active site for our molecules, and we have shown that our molecule is a very candidate for NDM and bacteria.
Namaskar, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah.
please the hide button on your screen.
Pardon?
Hide button. Am I
Okay.
audible to you, ma'am? Please.
Yeah. Is it
Yes.
okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So further, in addition to see the importance of molecules which we were synthesizing, what is the use, what is the importance of this, we have also checked our molecules for beta hematine activity, which we found better than the chloroquine. Chloroquine is very well known anti-malarial drug, but use of this anti-malarial older drugs are quality is declining, and use of ineffective drug leads to the inadequate treatment and lead to the drug resistant. So who recommends the artemisinin based and combination therapy for the treatment of malaria, but early sign of artemisinin resistance manifested as delayed clearance of parasite. So to develop this, we have used this molecular hybridization approach. What is molecular hybridization approach? Actually, in this case, we find out some selective moiety, which is responsible for the activity in well-known drugs. This, for example, in the chloroquine, this phenolene moiety is there. In the ferroquine, this sandwich compound is there, ferrocene type. Then in the anti-malaria tetrazole, there is a tetrazole unit is there. So we have designed a molecule incorporating these different bioactive moieties, and we have developed this novel beta hematine inhibitors, and they have shown the very good activity. The results were published in the Journal of Medicinal Chemistry, although this further studies are going on in this molecule before getting the patent on this particular studies, and they molecules have shown the better beta hematine inhibitory activity better than the chloroquine. So this is era of the availability of cheap and effective drug coming to an end. The development of parasite resistant to a frontline anti-malarial drug such as the chloroquine antifolates has underscored the importance of developing new drugs and new drug targets to treat the disease. Then, although we have done, as we have mentioned in the beginning, that we have used a wide variety of the solvent, wide variety of the catalyst, wide variety of reaction initiators, means energy considerations, but I have selected only few. So I have mentioned you the use of water and use of sodium chloride, because I have selected these two, especially that to show that even in a simple reaction conditions, simple facilities available in the laboratory or the less funds, you can do the work, and this work can be published in a best journal, very high impact journal. Then another aspect which we are doing in our laboratory is the use of nanotechnology, which is the revolution of endless possibilities. Nanotechnology, as you are familiar very well, it is deals with the structure size between 1 to 100 nanometer in at least one dimension, and it involves developing or modifying the materials or devices within that size. So nano means 1 billionth, and you can imagine that length of 1 nanometer means length of 10 hydrogen atoms, and the diameter of the human hair is 50,000 nanometers. The smallest visible length to the human eye is 10,000 nanometers. So nanotechnology is not the new concept. Although now in the recent days, there is a boom on the nanotechnology, but it is very old. The medieval artisans were the first nanotechnologists. They made stained glass by mixing gold chloride into the molten glass. The Lycurgus cup is a 4th century Roman glass cage cup made up of the dichroic glass. and they created tiny gold spheres which absorbed and reflected sunlight in a way that produced a variety of the colors like this when the sunlight comes in the different direction. You see, in our old palaces, and this dichroic glass has been used. Stained glass is made by in the same methods. They knew that by putting varying tiny amount of gold and silver in the glass, they could produce the effect found in the stained glass windows. The optical and the electronic properties of the gold nanoparticles are tunable by changing in the size, shape, surface chemistry, and aggregation state. The bulk gold is golden or yellow in the color, while the nano gold is red in the toluene. So, what is interesting about the nanoscale? The nano-sized particles having the different property than the large bulk particles of the same substance. They have different size and shape dependent properties. Surface area to volume ratio is very high. Drastic change in the properties at the nanoscale. Electrical properties are changed, band gap is changed, their optical properties are changed. Then magnetic properties are changed, because as you know that at the nano size, aurum and the platinum become magnetic in the nature. So there are wide variety of the applications of the small particles in the nanomaterials chemistry. In the industry, in the magnetics, in the energy, environment, nanoscience and nanotechnology, oxide nanostructures, these oxide nanostructures, nanosheets, our recent work, which are, although today I'm not going to present because we have applied for the for another paper and the patent, in which we have developed the inorganic oxides and this composite, which is used as a film for the this solar panels, and by using these films the efficiency of the solar panels have been increased by 15%. So our one of the industry has purchased our idea and concept, so I can't go into detail of that. But today in the laboratory, what we do is use of these nanomaterials as catalyst. So I will focus on the use of nanomaterials as catalyst. Now, as you know that there are two type of catalysts. Homogeneous catalyst, they occur in the single phase. Typically, they are liquid. Reaction is carried out at low temperature, but the separation is very difficult. In case of heterogeneous catalyst, the multi-phase reaction, it requires high temperature. Design and optimization is tricky. But the nanocatalysts represent the bridge between these two. In this case, the nanoparticles have emerged as sustainable alternatives to conventional materials. They enhance the contact between the reactant and catalyst dramatically, and they mimic the homogeneous catalyst. They are easily separable from the reaction mixture like the heterogeneous catalyst. So, to obtain the reproducible results, to obtain the goal of the green chemistry, we have used this nanotechnology, having the high surface to volume ratio and size dependent phenomena. And this, the bridge of nanotechnology, material science, and the green chemistry has given the modern catalysis. This is science combining these three disciplines, which is very important, because the knowledge at the interface of these three technology will result in the development of modern catalysis. So in the green nanotechnology, implementation of nanotechnology in organic synthesis, we have developed the optimized synthetic methodology for synthesis of nanoparticles, then their use as catalyst for the synthesis of pharmaceutically important heterocyclic synthesis, some synthetic transformation in the organic synthesis. So again, I have to be a little bit brief. I just want to give the idea what we are doing there. We have developed the variety of the monometallic nanoparticles, and they are used for the wide variety of organic name reactions, synthesis of nitrogen containing heterocycles, for the development of bond forming reactions, for the alkylation and related reactions. All these nanomaterials which we have synthesized, although the variety of the methods are available, physical methods and the chemicals and the mechanical methods are available, but we have used the wet chemical co-precipitation methods under microwaves or ultrasound. And all these nanomaterials were characterized in detail by XRD, SEM, TEM, IDEX, UV, IR, CV, and TEM, XPS, etc. Then these metal nanoparticles. We have synthesized the metal particles of iron, silver, copper, cerium, zinc, and wide variety. But it has these are abundant, cheap, non-toxic, and having the environmentally benign properties. But the precise modification of the catalyst surface by introducing another component could facilitate the controlled tuning of the catalytic properties. So to achieve this goal, we have developed the modified nanomaterials in variety of the ways. One is metallic nanoparticles decorated graphene-based sheets. Because these magnetic nanomaterials, they can be easily separated by filtration. So I will go into the detail in a little bit about this variety of the nanomaterials. Then we have developed the metal decorated graphene derivatives. Then we have also synthesized the composites, polycarbonate metal nanoparticle composites. They can be easily separated from the reaction mixture by the forcer. Because while using the nanomaterials or any catalyst, the catalyst separation is a very important thing, because they should be separated very easily. There should not be any contamination of the catalyst in the product if it has to be used for the pharmaceutical purpose. So to increase the efficiency and increase the separation ease, we have modified the nanomaterials, and I will go little bit detail about these variety of the nanomaterials which we have used. They are having the high turnover frequency value, leach free, which is the essential condition for their use in the pharmaceuticals. They should be durable or recyclable to develop the cost effectiveness. There should be efficient recovery from the reaction medium with high reactivity and the selectivity. So the nanomaterials should be less toxic or non-toxic at all. Because in the recent days, more focus on the graphene-based material, because it is the era of graphene-based materials. So I will go little bit more detail about this graphene-based material, which is the magical chemistry of carbon, because it is the allotrope of carbon. Now, graphene-based material are very important for development of sustainability in the catalysis. Graphene is a crystalline allotrope of carbon with two-dimensional properties. You can see that layered structure. A thin flake of carbon, just one atom thick. As a material, it is completely new. Not only the thinnest ever, but also the strongest. Graphene is thinnest and the strongest. It is good conductor of electricity, excellent conductor of heat. So graphene-based materials are used. Recently, the more focus on these graphene-based materials having the honeycomb lattice made of carbon atoms only. The graphene-based materials is more important. These flakes are more important as compared to the carbon nanotubes, because in this case, each single atom is in exposure for chemical reaction from two sides. Because of 2D structure, from the above and from the below, each carbon atom can undergo the reaction from two sides. Then highest ratio of Ag carbons in compare, these Ag carbons will be there on the sheets in comparison with the similar materials such as the carbon nanotubes, and higher in special chemical reactivity. So we worked on the graphene supported reagents instead of carbon nanotubes. For the beginners, it is very interesting to note that in 2010, Nobel Prize in the physics gone to these two scientists for groundbreaking experiment regarding the development of two-dimensional material graphene. It is very interesting to note that they extracted the graphene from a piece of graphite such as is found in the ordinary pencil. Using regular adhesive tape, they managed to obtain a flake of carbon with a thickness of just one atom. And this discovery has made the revolutionary changes because of the special properties of graphene and derivatives of the graphene. We have used the graphene oxide, which can be easily obtained in the laboratory by simple methodology by treating the graphite with strong oxidizing agents. And it is of low cost as compared to the carbon nanotubes and promising precursor for the graphene. And why we have selected this graphene oxide or partially reduced graphene oxide as compared to the carbon nanotubes is that the cost is low as compared to carbon nanotubes. They can be easily obtained in the laboratory. They possess the acidic surface functional groups. So this graphene oxide can act as a strong acid as compared to the common Bronsted or the Lewis acids, because of the presence of these various functional groups. There is various anchoring sites for the bonding of the like metal nanoparticles. They exhibit higher efficient utilization of surface area because both sides of nanosheets are accessible. Then graphene is used for the wide variety of purposes. It is very interesting. Another talk can be given for the graphene, but I will focus today on the use of graphene derivatives as catalyst. It has the several advantages: ready functionalization, reusability, non-toxicity, easy availability in the bulk quantities, various functionalities of oxygen, etc. Wide variety of the reaction we have done using this because of these special properties. The various methods are available for the synthesis of graphene, either the top-down approach from the graphite and or the bottom-up approach starting from the simple methane ethyl molecules, but we have used this top-down approach using the graphite. Either the mechanical exfoliation or the liquid phase exfoliation. We have used this liquid phase exfoliation for the development of these nanomaterial anchored graphene oxide derivative, and these are the cerium oxide. We have developed copper oxide, palladium, europium, silver, and we have used this variety of the salts. And for the first time, we have synthesized and found their application in the organic synthesis. This graphite we have developed for the first time. This modified Hammond method is used using the hydrogen peroxide as oxidant, omitting the potassium permanganate. Our one-pot easy to process economic route for metal decorated reduced graphene oxide is developed. It is scalable for the mass production, and protection, reduction, and functionalization is carried out in the one step. And actually these metal nanoparticles prevent the restacking of graphene sheets, also avoid irreversible agglomerization of the graphene oxide, and results are published in the very high impact factor journal Analyst. Then catalyst is characterized by various methods, which I'm not going into the detail here. Then this is very interesting application which I would like to share with you. Actually, these molecules, Tröger's base, they are having the methylene bridge. They are extensively utilized as molecular tweezers, as ion receptors, DNA targeting fluorescence, supramolecular scaffolds, etc. Because of very interesting properties of these Trögers, which are used as tweezers, molecular tweezers, we were interested in this type of functioning in variety of the artemisinin and other important molecule, methylene bridge bicyclic molecules. So we think to develop this molecule by the molecular hybridization approach, having this methylene bridge. So this molecule was designed and synthesized. And for this purpose, we have used the cerium oxide, decorated reduced graphene oxide, lanthanide as nanocatalyst. And this is a very interesting studies have been done. Our procedure is first report by the solution reduction method. There are earlier methods, but they have the large number of steps and various drawbacks. But in our case, we have used directly the cerium ammonium nitrate for producing the cerium oxide immobilized on reduced graphene oxide sheets. So actually, because of shortage of time, I can't go into very much detail, but these They act as template on which catalytic reactions involving coordination rearrangement can easily take place. We have taken advantage of dual catalytic properties, redox properties of cerium oxide and acidity of the cerium oxide and acidic properties of graphene oxide, and we could synthesize this very interesting complicated molecule. You can see that again in one pot process, because when we started this work, multi-component reaction approach, and when I have given this in number of the conferences, that actually that approach was not accepted by the most of the scientists. They suggested that this approach is suitable only for the very simple molecules. We can't synthesize the complicated molecules, but in this, but as I have shown you in my earlier case in the use of sodium chloride, and now in this case also, you can see that these are readily available starting materials have been used for carrying out this synthesis using cerium oxide nanomaterial graphene oxide composite using the water as medium under the microwave irradiation. This complicated molecule could be synthesized in one pot, which involved the indole condensation, Michael addition, bicyclization, chemoselectivity, no use of volatile organic solvent, high turnover frequency value, recyclable, and economic viability of the catalyst. So one carbon-carbon bond, one CO bond, two stereogenic center, two hexacyclic rings with bridged structure is formed in one step by this molecule. In this molecule, and this is published in the Molecular Catalysis. So these are the simple reactants which are easily available, and anyone can follow this methodology to produce this complicated molecular tweezer type of molecules. And naturally, for the optimization of the process, we have to compare with the other reactants, other catalysts and other solvents, etc., and then compare the yield to find out the best reaction conditions. Naturally, this is the method has been developed for the first time. So we have to establish the reaction condition. In addition to reaction condition, we have given the mechanism that whenever we do the multi-component reactions, at that time, always the question asked by the student when we are mixing the 1, 2, and 3, how the reactant find out that whether 1 and 2 first should be react first, or 1 and 3 should react first, or 2 and 3 should react first. Actually, depending upon the functional groups and energy of the activation of that particular type of reaction, the reaction occurs in a specific manner. Although it may occur by the reaction of 1 and 3 to give the other products. By the reaction of 1 and 2, reaction proceeds by this mechanism and finally lead to this product. So to confirm the reactivity of these reactants in a sequential manner, we had to carry out the reaction in a different way. 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, and find out the different products, and then only we can propose the mechanism and establish the mechanism and confirm the formation of the required product. So this again, this is used for Petasis-Boroner reaction. We have done wide variety of work on this, and variety of the molecules have been synthesized. Then another type of catalyst, as I have told you, that we have synthesized the polycarbonate zinc oxide nanocomposite as efficient and reusable catalyst for the synthesis of alpha-beta unsaturated compounds. In this case, the polycarbonate composites have been successfully fabricated by solution casting technique, in which zinc oxide nanoparticles were used as dopant with different concentration. A film, polycarbonate film, is decorated with the zinc oxide nanoparticles. And this beauty of this particular catalyst is they can be easily separable by use of the forceps. And these are characterized for, naturally, we have to characterize. This thickness has to be determined. As I have told you, there's these type of these nano sheets we have synthesized recently. All the results are not published because they are submitted for the this commercial purpose and patent. So these thin films have been used, and in that particular case, we have thin film is coated on these solar panels, and this here we have used these thin films for the synthetic purpose. And we have synthesized the alpha beta unsaturated molecules in a very specific manner. Instead of the bis chalcone, the mono chalcone is formed and E isomer is formed selectively. So geometrical isomer is formed, high degree of the stereoselectivity is obtained in this case. Then another type of the nanomaterials which are synthesized is synthesis of magnetic copper ferrite nanoparticles. They were synthesized by co-precipitation method. The method was very simple and economic. Facile room temperature synthesis of heterocycle is carried out. And the importance of these nanomaterials is they can be easily separated by magnet. External bar magnet is used. That is, it is almost quantitative yield. It is attractive alternative to filtration and centrifugation. It enhances the reusability and it is promising for industrial application. It is the characterization of nanomaterials. Copper ferrite is inverse spinal and magnetic properties is superparamagnetic. The superparamagnetic behavior of magnetic nanoparticle prevents self-agglomerization since they exhibit their magnetic behavior only when an external magnetic field is applied. So nanomaterials of 20 nanometers have been synthesized with the spherical morphology, and now you can see that it is a very interesting story. In the case of organic chemistry, which we study even in the standard of 9th class, the Mannich type of reaction is very well known and one of the most studied type of reaction. So this Mannich type of reaction, which is very old type of reaction, more than 200 years old, is used for the synthesis of these novel spiroderivatives, which are very important as anti-cancer agents. And this work has attracted the attention of several chemists and pharmacologists because in this case, by slightly modifying the means this ratio of the reactant and the reaction condition, we can obtain this very interesting novel compound, spirogenic compound. In the normal condition, if the ratio of the reactant is 1:1:1, then it results in the formation of novel Mannich adduct. But when the ratio of these reactant is changed into 1:3:2, then instead of this molecule using this copper ferrite nanomaterials, in the ethanol at room temperature stirring, this novel molecule is formed. So mechanism of formation of these novel molecules is explained. The structure is always, we have to confirm the structure by the X-ray crystallography. Now you can see that this is the reaction mixture, and after completion of the reaction, these magnetic nanomaterials can be separated by using the external bar magnet. The reaction mixture can be decanted off and the product can be separated very easily. So this catalyst can be reusable for 5 to 6 times. Recycling is possible and the reactivity is not decreased and no leaching of the catalyst in the reaction products. Now another important application is in the field of nanophoto-catalysis for dye degradation. Actually, the photocatalyst is a substance that uses light energy to facilitate the chemical reaction. And chlorophyll of the plant is a typical natural photocatalyst, very well known. So inspired by this, we tried to work on this photocatalytic reaction. Actually, on this dye degradation, we are working on the special project of state DST because in the Jaipur or especially in the Rajasthan, it is having the leading position in the production of polyester, viscose yarn, synthesis of suiting materials, as well as processing of the low cost, low weight fabric in the Pali, Balotra, Sanganer, Bagru, etc. Jaipur is well-known center for especially garments export. Bhilwara is also emerged as India's largest manufacturer of suiting fabrics in India, block printing in the Sanganer, Jaipur, Bani in Jodhpur, Pali, Jaipur, Udaipur, Nathdwara, Jari Jardosi work, quilting work, then Bagru printing, etc. So there are a large number of dye industries and textile industries, and it is causing a lot of pollution in the water. The effect of the dye effluent is causing the effect on various human life, plant life, etc. So this special project was given to us, and we started working on this, and to our fortune, we got interesting results. So our objective was to establish suitable and reproducible method for the preparation of semiconductor nanomaterials, then optimize the protocols for synthesis to compare the effect of the modification on the properties of the semiconductor and developing photocatalytic materials to study the degradation of the dyes in the presence of visible light using developed photocatalytic materials. So nanophotocatalyst is developed for dye degradation. The visible light-induced dye degradation having the advantage over copper oxide nanoparticles decorated reduced graphene oxide. So previous work uses the titanium oxide or the zinc oxide based photocatalyst. There is a wide band gap, requires high absorption energy in the UV region. So by carrying out the band gap engineering, we developed the copper oxide based photocatalysis, which is having the narrow band gap, require low absorption energy, but the associated problem was the recombination rate of photo generated electron hole pair is extremely fast. So this can be resolved by the copper decorated reduced graphene oxide catalyst. So we have developed the various, we have proposed the reaction mechanism for this ion pair combination, and the various dyes we have studied for this purpose, direct red, methyl blue, acid blue, and it has been found that the dye can be easily degraded because of this band gap engineering. Then we have also used this photocatalyst, this copper doped zinc sulfide catalyst as the photocatalyst for the synthesis of azole derivatives for the first time, which is one-pot synthesis using the annihilation, oxidation, cyclization, dehydration, etc. Chemoselective synthesis using visible light-induced nanophotocatalyst. And this is also published in the very good journal of photochemistry. Mechanism of this, then I would like to tell you that we have whatever molecules we have synthesized, we have these value-added heterocycles have been used as corrosion inhibitors. Studies are carried out in various these laboratories. Then they have been used for the biological screening. They show the wide range of biological activities, including anti-tumor, anti-malarial, antioxidant, antiviral, beta-emitting, inhibiting, beta-lactamase, etc. Biological studies are carried out at the CDRI Lucknow and Microcare Laboratory Surat. Then these compounds are also undergoing the testing for their use as organic light emitting diode materials, because these heterocyclic compounds have electron rich centers, and these studies are going on in these various centers. Using, although we are working in the wide variety of the field, as I have shown in the beginning, that in the fields, variety of fields in which we are working, but in today's talk, I have focused only on the catalysis reactions, development of new catalysts and their applications for wide variety of activities. We have also published the number of the review articles, book chapters, and number of the papers, especially on this use of our development of new catalytic methodology. And you can see that wide variety of not only the nanoparticles which we have used as a catalyst, we have used also the organic catalyst, asymmetric catalytic synthesis, use of Baker's yeast, etc., and then use of proline catalyst. Then we have used wide variety of solvent. Although today I have mentioned about only the water, I have selected only those few reactions in which we have used the water as the solvent, but we have extensively worked on other solvent, fluorous solvents also, then reactions using without any solvent, that is neat reactions, then ethyl lactate, which is biodegradable and obtained from the renewable sources. So ethyl lactate solvent we have used for the first time for the chemical synthesis, and many interesting results were obtained and published in the very reputed journals. Then I think wide variety of nanomaterials we have developed, number of papers, more than 30 papers have been published on the nanocatalyst, but I have shown you some of only few of them. My aim was just to means create the curiosity that how can we achieve the goals of green chemistry in the laboratory. Actually, green chemistry is not the separate branch of chemistry, just like organic, inorganic, or physical or analytical. Actually, it is the combination. It is the practical chemistry. It is the way how can we approach to achieve the goal. How we can practice the rules of the green chemistry in our daily life. So I tried to give some of the picture of this. And in the conclusion, we can see that high value of chemical entities involving the high degree of chemo, regio, stereo selective synthesis can be achieved by the green chemistry. Parallel synthesis, which is very necessary in case of drug development for the generation of library of small molecules, can be obtained. It can be useful for the pharmaceutical industries. Then green synthesis of nanocatalysts is carried out with well-defined structures. Improved selectivity is obtained by nanotechnology. Nanocatalysts with its vast surface area are more selective as well as efficient in carrying out the synthesis. Further, from the economic point of view, because of the reusability and recyclability, ease of separation, etc., nanocatalysts are much more inexpensive than conventional catalysts. And designing an easily recovered and efficient recycling catalyst is very important. Then it is eco-friendly tandem approach. This multi-component reaction approach is very, very important approach, which has received so much attention of the scientists, also called as a tandem approach, because in this case, the reaction is normally carried out in the one pot instead of multi-step synthesis. No need of separation of the reaction intermediates. So it saves the cost of the means solvents, cost of the labor on the separation, identification, purification of the reaction intermediates, etc. So it is used for the rapid organic synthesis with efficient functional group transformations. Techniques have been revealed is of high special efficiency for the development of sustainable technology, and distinct advantages, more selectivity in the approach and final outcome. So it is for the use of society. Societal engagement, we need the support to develop the science. And the science gives the benefits by using the technology development. It gives the advantage to the societal engagement. So it is necessary to develop to do the innovation by using the greener materials and the methods, identifying the various opportunities which can be done using these, and these innovations can be done to evaluate the progress, and finally combination of these can be useful for society. So I tried to, in spite of having the opportunity in state laboratory, state university laboratory, because I think some of you are familiar with the constraint of the laboratories which are available there for working in the state universities. The condition is not good. Instead of state university, either the central universities or in the IITs, IISc laboratories are very good, and very large amount of huge fund is available. But in spite of all the odds, we did this huge amount of quality and the quantity work, and I am fortunate enough that my work is received attention, and I have got number of this very prestigious international distinguished women scientists award by IUPAC president, bronze medal award by CRSI, then best chemistry teacher in India award by the MHRD, the Minister Shashi Tharoor, then Professor C.N.R. Rao, Bharat Ratna C.N.R. Rao is the biggest chemist of our country. He has also awarded me in the case of CRSI and MRSI. Fortunately, I am the only woman chemist who received the award from both by CRSI and MRSI. Professor Govardhan Mehta has appreciated and given me award. And I must congratulate my research group because without their efforts and their innovative ideas and their dedication, this entire work could not be carried out. And I am fortunate enough to have such a big family of my dedicated students. They are very loving and affectionate and dedicated too. So the problem, environmental pollution and global warming and lot of problems which we are facing, they cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. Because all these problems were created quite far ago. But at that time, we were not having that level of thinking. Now we have to improve our level of thinking. Then only we can solve the problem. Although there was so much to tell, I can speak about hours and hours, taking our one example of one reaction, but I think I don't know about too much about the audience, that is whether they can understand this hardcore chemistry or not. So I have selected this little bit information about you. So I think this is something about which I could tell you. Hello. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. There are so many comments in chat box that excellent work and something.
Anything anybody would like to ask or would like to go into the detail, or if you want to see the laboratory, how can we use in the laboratory these, how could we carry out these reactions in the laboratory? It will be my pleasure. My aim was to create the inquisitiveness. How can we achieve the goal of the green chemistry in simple laboratories in a simple manner? Anything anybody want to ask me? Somebody asked about the email ID. So I think this Anu ma'am is having that. Otherwise, I can also give that. Then one thing, micro scale experiments in chemistry actually falls under the first principle of green chemistry, that is reduction of the waste produced at the source. The chemistry lab, by using very small quantities only, can ma'am use your good offices to create awareness about the same. Yeah, actually these green chemistry experiments have been introduced by the UGC in the undergraduate and the postgraduate syllabus, and they can be very well easily used for in the laboratory at that scale, because it is not always necessary to use the microwaves or the ultrasound as the reaction source. Simply using the water as reaction solvent, some reactions can be carried out very easily, or using these even domestic microwave oven, although it is not permissible for the paper publication, but you can use that also. Anything? Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything anybody want to ask more?
Question, please write your question in chat box. If you want to ask any question, any query, then write your query in chat box.
So, Dr. Anu, I'm sorry because of this very short time. Yesterday afternoon only you talked to me. So I tried to make this talk little bit informative. Bird's eye view I have given here.
Thank you, ma'am,
Yeah.
for accepting our invitation in very short span of time. Ma'am, your work is very motivate. Your work motivates us, है ना? For the beginners, you are the motivators, and your research work is very healthy. है ना? We are the beginners, and it will definitely motivate us. है ना? All the participants are also commenting in the chat box the same thing. Thank you very much, ma'am, for giving such a wonderful presentation. Thank you again, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So
Thank
it is
you.
my pleasure to meet you people. I don't know. Most of the audience is from this, from where it is?
Ma'am, from all over of India.
That is from technical universities.
Technical and not technical. From chemistry department and
Okay.
from other engineering department also.
Okay. Okay. So,
From chemistry department
yeah, nice.
of India.
Nice to meet you. For the first time I'm meeting, but anyway, nice. You are doing good efforts for connecting all these students, and I think faculty may be there also.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if somebody
This faculty-
starts working on this in field of green chemistry, then my motto will be completed. But I am always there to help anybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am, all members are faculty. All the participants are faculty.
Okay, it is for
Development program. Yes,
just
ma'am.
like our refresher course, faculty
Yes, ma'am.
improvement like that.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Thank you.
all of them are involved in the research?
Most of them are involved in the research.
Okay, okay. So
It's,
we are
ma'am,
working
it's-
in wide field, so anybody else can select, and if need help, they can contact me.
Sure, ma'am. Sure. ma'am.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you so
again,
much. So
ma'am.
can I
On the behalf
now
of my entire team.
leave?
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.